The Lord says it is done. Done. It is done. The Lord says 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 it is done.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Queer Collective podcast. My name is Karbon.
And I'm Emily.
And today we are brought to you by the presidential election going over to Biden-Harris.
Hell yeah.
We did it, Joe. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
On Saturday, when it was kind of announced, it literally felt like we were in the middle of a superhero movie after the villain got defeated and then the sky opened up. The weather was perfect.
The weather was incredible.
Still
the temperature was perfect.
Yeah.
The sun was incredible. Like, the sunset was the most beautiful thing ever. And it was the perfect ending to a long 4 years.
A horrible 4 years.
Frankly.
The world was back to a balance.
Now, we live in Canada, obviously, so it didn't affect us as much as the Americans. But, you know, Canada, we see all the American news. We see all of it. So we were in the know-how.
Almost too much, right? Like,
A little too much.
our networks, like CBC, which is just like our government-funded broadcasting network, they are always broadcasting like Trump's rallies, Trump's speeches, everything.
They
almost
wouldn't leave it alone.
Almost to a bad point, though, where you can tell. There was like a poll done, I can't remember who it was by, but we'll post it up there, that said it was about 20% of Canadians supported Trump.
Ugh.
Which is 20% too much.
We had Trump rallies in Toronto. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even your president. Like, what?
No.
He literally started like an ism. He started an association.
Yeah.
A movement.
Yeah.
Trumpism. It's ridiculous.
Of just alternative facts.
Oh,
Of just like not
facts based on feelings.
Yeah. And it's brutal. Yeah, like honestly, there's a mix of like the importance of hearing this rhetoric and seeing these people and having them be in broad daylight and recognizing
Not even like at night. It's
No.
broad daylight.
but recognizing like what you need to be fighting against basically versus it like working underneath the surface and then coming up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like some of that rhetoric has shifted over to Canada, which is something that needs to be watched. and you can see it in our politicians as well with Doug Ford and Jason Kenney. Just like the conservative politicians are starting to act more and more like Trump, which is, like you said, it's like it's an ism now and it's something that's kind of spreading. And it's not only with Trump, it's not only in North America, it's globally, you know what I mean? With the Brazil president, Bolsonaro, who's destroying the rainforest and is just a horrible human being.
I don't hate people, but I hate that guy.
Yeah, no, there's just some evil human beings in the world who are like set out to destroy the planet.
So short-minded. Let me build up my wealth now. It's like, okay, you're going to die like everybody else. It's like, yeah, but I'm going to build up my wealth. Okay, for what?
It just doesn't make sense. I think it's something about having your name remembered. I feel like that's what Trump wants. Like,
it's not in a good light.
No, I know. I feel like he idolizes people like Hitler, where it's just like, they're in textbooks. No one's going to forget Hitler's name.
Do you really think that he idolizes someone like that?
In a way, yeah. Do you not? Like,
I wonder.
I feel like he knows he's evil.
No.
You don't
I don't think he knows.
Well, did Hitler think he was evil?
Probably not. I don't think that evil people necessarily think they're evil. I think they're so like focused on getting what they want that they don't even think that it's evil. They just think like it's like just the necessary means.
There's for sure like followers of these people definitely do not think that they're evil. I feel like the people in charge, like Trump, like Mitch McConnell, who's the leader of the Senate, who's just like another horrible human being, but knows that he is. You know what I mean? Like he called himself the Grim Reaper because he kills all of the bills.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay, some people know
these
that,
people know that they're awful human beings, but they create rhetorics that tell their supporters like lies to make them feel good about it.
They like being who they are. You know? I bet you that Mitch McConnell, the killer of all bills, does it because he gets like a kick out of it. I bet you he like feels powerful when he puts people down.
It's greed, you know what I mean? It's not wanting to distribute wealth. It's not wanting to provide social services. It's wanting to keep the 1% rich,
filthy rich,
and expand that divide, which is really, really sad.
Totally. And like, what does divide do? Nothing productive.
So just to give you guys a little preview of what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to hit on the Biden-Harris win. Is that what we wanted? Did we support Biden? What do we hope is the future of politics, not just in America, but also in Canada? And the pains of talking to conservatives, but also the importance.
So stick around for the rest of the podcast, guys. It's going to be a juicy one. And at the end, we're going to throw in a personal story that is going to be quite interesting to talk about. So stick around. So obviously, Biden won. He's the president-elect of the United States, along with Kamala Harris being the first ever woman, Black, Indian vice president to be elected. Took 244 years, but we're here. And we're like pretty stoked about that. Also, big shout out to Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, Stacey Abrams basically got her whole community, her whole state, I'm pretty sure, to get out the vote.
Georgia.
Yeah, and all of the stats show that Black women won this election, so that's incredible and amazing. And I would like to point out that white suburban women showed up in greater numbers for Trump. Yeah. So that's sad.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, so amazing and sad in the same time.
Yeah, however, like the fact that Stacey Abrams like in Georgia got like what 200,000 people to register to vote and then actually vote, like that's incredible. Like Black women or just women of color in general are leading this freaking election. Like they're the ones that got Biden elected, in my opinion.
Like, do you know Stacey Abrams' story?
No.
So yeah, so she got she ran, I can't remember if it was for a Senate seat or for the House, but she ran against some like white dude conservative, and it looked like she was gonna win, and it got super close, but there was a lot of gerrymandering in that state, and it looked like her competitor had cheated in some ways. I'll put some more stats up here, but they got a recount and the margins were so slim, but she knew that it was because of gerrymandering and because of voter suppression that she lost, and then she started this whole campaign to get out the vote and to fight voter suppression.
Nice.
So she's a really, really cool person.
What's gerrymandering?
Gerrymandering is basically when people look at the voter map in the states you can do this. Elected politicians are able to redraw the lines, basically. So you can decide what the different sections are going to be, and that is dependent on like how many seats that area gets. So they can draw the line so that they split up the Democratic areas so that it's also mixed in with Republican areas, and the Republican areas, like those votes will surpass the Democratic ones. You know what I mean? So that way, I mean, more Republican seats will be chosen. But also I will note that Democrats have done this in the past as well. Yeah.
Okay. But and now she was like, you know what? I lost. Probably wasn't fair, but I'm going to come back stronger. And she did. She did. Like, she's making news. She's making history. She's being recognized now for the badass she is.
Yeah. And that's how change is going to be made, honestly. Grassroots movements.
Yeah.
And grassroots
100%.
Community organizing.
Yeah. 100%. Not all of the presidents, but so many presidents in the past were super focused on that 1%. They're super focused on like kissing up to like the big corporations that give them money in order to run. So like they're still playing this like game of like pleasing them and giving them everything that they want, right? Yeah. But it's people like Stacey Abrams, like AOC, like the whole squad that are like, you know what? No, the power is in the people. Yeah. And this is how I'm going to run my campaign, grassroots. Yeah. And it's super inspiring to see. I really think, you know what? I'm going to save my opinion for later.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's super important because like you said, billionaires control the elections because of how much it costs to advertise for an election.
Like, did you see like the stats of like both Joe Biden and Trump?
How much was it, do you remember?
It literally cost them millions per day
Yeah.
to advertise their campaign.
Imagine what that money could do. That's the saddest part.
It's insane. The fact that millions and millions of dollars get just thrown around like during election time for their campaigns, for their rallies, for their advertisements, etc. Like think of all the good that money could do instead of just like putting someone's face on a wall.
And it's going to Facebook.
Oh,
even worse. Even worse.
Yeah, so true. It's going to all the tech giants that are already stealing from us, taking all of our data and then reselling it without our permission.
Yo.
Oh. Did we just talk about something else? Maybe that'll be a further topic.
Yeah. So was Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, were either of them, because they both ran in the primaries to be the candidate, were either of them the candidate that you wanted?
I wouldn't have chosen Biden or Harris.
No.
Like, even though it's cool to have the first Black Indian woman vice president, that's really
Historic.
cool, and no one's going to take that away from her. Even then, it still wouldn't be my choice. Like, I would have preferred personally either Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren as president.
Yeah.
One of the two. They're both, they have similar platforms.
Yeah.
So I would have been happy with both of them. And as vice president, you already know I love AOC, you know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine?
Yeah,
I think
it'd be
it's a bit too
so
early
freaking
for
cool.
her.
It's too early for her, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like in order to gain respect from the masses, she probably needs to like get a little bit older, get a bit more experience, maybe become a senator or something like that.
Yeah.
And then she can run for pres. But I am fully supporting her all the way.
Yeah.
But I think
queen.
think she is, right?
Yeah.
I think that she's gonna make it all the way to the White House. I think she's gonna be president one day.
That'd be cool. Yeah, literally I went from Biden Harris 2020 to fuck Joe Biden.
Legit, it's like okay, go Biden Harris, go. It's like, okay, he's elected. It's like, all right, you know what? F that guy. I don't care about him. Like, and it's so true. It wasn't really about like we love Biden. It was about like
we hate Trump.
Defeat Donald Trump, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, and I feel really good that Donald Trump, we don't have to hear about him again in the news unless it's just about him being arrested, I hope. You know what I mean? Like, just some embarrassing stuff. I want to see.
Yeah,
but I was really nervous about, honestly, a civil war happening and him not leaving the White House. But
I mean, he still hasn't left. I don't know. He's saying he's not going to concede. I don't know, man.
There was a statement from the White House that said, we are completely capable of escorting trespassers out of the White House.
Yes. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's like that.
So I feel okay. Imagine him having to get escorted out.
That'd be hilarious. Just him being dragged out.
That'd be absolutely
But
incredible.
that's such a disgrace. Especially for a president.
He's just
like the highest title of the land.
I don't expect anything less of him though, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's just like the perfect way to end his presidency.
That's so I would be so embarrassed to like
he has no shame.
Not go gracefully. That's so embarrassing. That's so much more embarrassing than walking out yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. But back to you talking about AOC.
Yes.
Personally, I would love that. But one thing I will note is there was a reason that Biden was chosen. And it's because of how big the U.S. is and how differing all of the opinions are.
Yeah.
Especially Democrats. You know what I mean? The reason that conservatives are often able to win really well is because their group is very homogeneous and they think very much alike. So it's easy to send out one message and satisfy all of them. Whereas Democrats, you have people on the far left, like AOC, like Bernie, like Elizabeth Warren. You have more moderate Democrats. You know what I mean? Like Joe Biden. And then you also have these people who they needed to win over, which were people who voted for Trump formally, potentially voted for Obama as well, and could go back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those are the people who they wanted to appeal with Joe Biden.
The persuadables, as Cambridge Analytica calls it.
Yeah, the quote unquote persuadables.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Imagine being a persuadable.
Yeah. Yeah. And there were like, you know, I saw like on the news, like people interviewing, for example, like Suburban Women. You know how Trump, like in his rallies, kept being like, suburban women, like, please like me.
So can I ask you to do me a favor? Suburban women, will you please like me? Remember? Please. Please. I saved your damn neighborhood, okay?
It's because they voted for Trump, a large majority of them, in the last election, and then they said that they were switching their vote, again, a large majority of them, not all of them.
It looks like
to Biden. Yeah. But initially they were like, you know, he's not a politician, so we just want something new. We just want to see what's up. And then they saw what's up, and then a lot of them were like, you know what, this isn't what's up. However, like you mentioned, there's a lot of opinions within the Democratic Party. So there's the centrist Democrats, and then there's like the very leftist Democrats, right? So it doesn't represent just like one group or one way of thinking. It's like actually multiple.
Yeah.
There's multiple opinions within the group. So that is what causes them issues when it comes to the elections, right? However, with Biden winning, I don't think he's the guy to like take the country to places that it's never been and like somewhere great. I think he's the guy to like calm things down for a bit. You know, everybody chill for the next 4 years. Just calm down, get your wits together. And I think, however, I think that this was a pivotal moment. And I think that it was like one way or another, right? Yeah. If it was Trump, we would continue to go down this like sad, dark, depressing capitalist road. And with Biden, I think it opens, it's still, but I think it opens the door now for more voices to be heard, like AOCs, right? Yeah. It's progressive thinkers that are going to get us out of this shitstorm that we've created, like global warming, like poverty, global poverty.
It's all one and the same, though, and that's the point of the Green New Deal, is you cannot solve climate change without solving all social issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it's
pulling
true.
People out of poverty.
It's true. And I think it it literally, in my personal opinion, I think it starts with education.
Yeah. My thing is there is a big shift around the world of polarizing politics. There is a huge wave of far right politics happening all around the world, and that's kind of my fear. You know what I mean? And I think it is, like you said, where it's like there's a fork in the road, and countries kind of have to choose now whether they're going to go towards the left or towards the right. You know what I mean? Because these are a lot of people's responses to global warming and to like all of these fears that are happening right now. And either you can ignore it, close the blinds, cover your ears and pretend that science isn't real, claim to be a nationalist and close your borders and keep your resources to yourselves, because right now North America is going to be okay for a little while, but it's more southern countries that are going to be struggling. And I think that may be the reason behind why people are so strange about immigration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas that really shouldn't be the response. Or you go towards the left, you know what I mean? And you can start addressing politics. You can listen to scientists. You can welcome immigrants. You know, you can go down either road right now. And we are at that fork in the road. And hopefully what this is America just chose to go towards the left, but we'll see. They need to win the Senate.
It's all about the Senate. This is very, very true.
They can't do anything.
And you know what's shocking is that they actually lost seats for the House. Basically, like everything that Biden talked about that he wants to get done, it's impossible to get it done without the Senate on his side.
Without the House and the Senate. So right now they control the House.
They do have the House. They have less seats, but they do have the House. So and now they're tied for the Senate.
For those of you who don't understand how American politics work, I'm going to break it down really quickly. So
in a very simple way.
So basically, to pass any law or any like bill or whatever, you need the majority support from the House and from the Senate. They both need to pass it. And the House makes a bit more sense because it depends on like the population of that area is how you get seats, right?
Majority of the population is Democratic. Therefore, they get the majority of the House seats.
Yeah. But the issue with the Senate is, and why Republicans tend to still claim the Senate even when Democrats win, which is what happened during Obama's terms as well. And that's why he wasn't able to get as much done and people kind of complain about his presidency, is because it's really challenging for Democrats to win the Senate because you get 2 Senate seats per state. So there are more red states, you know what I mean? But there is more people who are Democratic, you know what I mean? That's why they constantly win the popular vote.
It's because of how the population is spread out. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
The Democratic people are typically only in certain states like New York, like California, like Virginia. And the majority of the states, as you can see like on a map, the majority of them are red.
Yeah, so there's still more work to do. I think until the 5th, they have to vote more Senate seats in. I'm so confused
Especially
by the
in
American.
Georgia.
Yeah. I'm so confused by the American system. I don't understand how after the election they don't have. Why didn't they just do it during the election?
I'm honestly confused as well. I don't really know how. I don't fully know how the American system works, because now they have like the runoff elections that get more Senate seats elected, and I'm like, why wasn't that included in like the first one? What?
The best democracy in the world, the strongest democracy, the worst democracy ever, and partially because it's like the oldest one, right? So the Constitution and everything was developed so long ago that it doesn't make sense for the times that they're in.
It's crazy to me that it never gets updated.
I know, because they believe in the Constitution.
My rights.
Now that we've hit on that, I kind of want to chat about talking to these conservatives. I would attempt to talk to conservatives a lot because I really believed that I was able to change people's opinions, and I still think it's really important to have these conversations, especially if you hear someone say something homophobic, something racist, something effed up in person. You need to address it and you need to make them understand that that's not okay that they just said that. But I would often pick fights with conservatives, which is also something good to do, you know what I mean? It's good to challenge people's opinions, but it was something really exhausting. There would always be like abortion pro-life activists outside my school, and I would always pick a fight with them, and it's not worth it, you know what I mean?
It's not, no.
And then during the most recent Canadian election, I would see people like just spewing stupid shit. I would comment on it, it'd be on Facebook, and then it would go on all day, and then you're thinking about it all day and you're mad about this argument, and it's kind of like I should have said that type thing.
But the tricky thing about it, like being worth it or not, is like you typically get nowhere, and then at the end of the day you're thinking about it all day and it kind of affects your whole day. And then you're just like, damn it, like I just let that affect my whole mood and my whole day, and then you feel like crap. On the other hand, it's not worth it to try. You know what I mean? Like there's a balance between like it being too much and then you messed up your whole day, and then also like kind of doing the right thing and standing up for what's right.
I have had some good productive conversations with people when I share like my political views on my story per se, and people message me with opposing opinions, and if they are willing to have a conversation, it's typically more moderate people that I'm able to have conversations with. I find people who associate themselves on the far right and see themselves as socially conservative people, I have a very hard time having conversations with those people.
I'm not going to name names or anything like that, just out of respect for privacy, but I saw someone that I followed, they had posted on their story like, oh, like ban abortion, this and that, and like pro-Trump, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to have a conversation. I'm gonna like low-key speak out, not aggressive or anything like that. I was just like, hey, like you're a man and you're posting about women's rights, and I personally think that women have a choice to do whatever they want with their bodies, and it's not up to men like you to decide what women do because you're not a woman. And instantly they just started like all caps, just like murderer, like baby killer, you're all evil, this and that. And I was like, whoa, I was not expecting such an aggressive response. And I proceeded to have like a lengthy conversation. It lasted like an hour and a half or something ridiculous like that.
I like studied for a quiz, wrote the quiz, And then you were still doing it that whole time. It was like 2 hours you're having this conversation.
Yeah, it was a long time. And the thing was that like I was genuinely trying to have a conversation where like I stated my point. It's like, okay, now you can state your point. But it became so difficult because any question I asked, it was like diverted. And it was like, no, this, let me tell you about this thing, even though you just asked me this question. And I was like, I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for you to answer the question. And then they were just like typing words that were like completely unrelated to the question. Yeah, like this is how they type. And even at one point, like that person was like, hey, like, do you believe in like liberty and just like and freedom for all and this and that? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then they were like, you're a conservative. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And they're like, trust me, I'm a conservative, so I would know. And I'm like, no, I know you're a conservative.
Yeah, trust,
fam. But I don't believe what you're telling me. Like, believing in like liberty and freedom, you probably have a totally different definition of that, and that's why you think I'm a conservative.
So the point where I jumped into this conversation, I like finished up my quiz, and then this guy had asked you, he's like, so how do you even define conservative? And then I like took the wheel for a minute.
You did. Emily, take the wheel.
And I hit him with some definitions of both fiscally conservative and socially conservative. And I asked him, I'm like, okay, so how would you define your own political views? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how would you define conservative? Then he responded with an all capitals list, which I would like to share. Maybe I'll put it on a tank top. You know, it was like liberty, freedom,
justice for all, nuclear family. And I was like,
which? And then I asked him back, I was like, okay, so do you mean liberty and freedom for everyone?
Or just for you?
And he said, for everyone, of course. And I was like, okay. So tying this back into the abortion issue, you realize that obstructing a woman's right to get an abortion takes away her freedom.
I can understand a conservative's viewpoint of like, we need to fight for this unborn baby's life, and they need to have a choice in this world of like what they want to do, and if not, like whether or not they want to live, and this and that. And I get that. I get it. Like, I understand where you're coming from there. However, it gets tricky because now that life is literally directly tied to another life. So if you choose one life, you take the rights of the other life. Mm-hmm. So you're creating this balancing act of which life do I support? And if you support the baby's life, you're essentially saying this woman's life does not matter at all.
At the end of the day, anyone should have the choice. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you would get an abortion or not. It doesn't matter whether this person was raped or not. It doesn't matter whether they were in critical condition or not. Everyone should have autonomy over their body. Everyone should be able to choose what happens with their body. And it can also start with education, which is also very frustrating to me that they want to limit sexual education at the same time, and they want to take away healthcare. They don't want to provide access to free contraception.
Like conservative parties in general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
not this specific person, but conservative parties.
So you're not able to educate yourself, one, on how to protect yourself against getting pregnant, and then two, you may not have the means to go get birth control. You may not have the means to go get condoms. So you're at that point then, and people are getting pregnant, and if they can't afford birth control, then they probably can't afford to have a baby either. You know what I mean? Because that's very expensive.
This is very, very true.
So then that potentially ends up more children in foster care, more children potentially going up for adoption, and they may not be adopted. There's that whole issue there that makes me a bit angry. It's like you're going to limit both sides, and then you're also not willing to provide social services to help these children, to help these mothers, to help these families, you know? So like they care about life when it's not born yet, and then after the fact they don't care about anyone, you know?
That's what like just blows my mind the most, honestly. And you know, just to play devil's advocate, because I actually confession, used to be pro-life. And I was like, you shouldn't be killing babies. Like, that's not right. And the reason that I realized, I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'm just pro-choice. Is because, like, who am I to tell them that they can't be doing this or that? I am nobody to tell someone what to do with their bodies.
And that's what switched your mind?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize that, like, I was being selfish in regards to my beliefs and pushing them on other people. Because the thing is that, like, even if you're conservative, if you're left or you're right or you're in the center, whatever, you can have your opinion. And that to me is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Even if I don't see eye to eye with you, even if I disagree with literally everything that you say, as long as you don't push your beliefs on me and you give me the same respect that I give you, like, that's okay with me.
It's hard to have these conversations because religion is something that people feel so strongly about.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
then
mean?
it all oftentimes gets intertwined with politics. Like, if you don't elect a president of faith, then they're the wrong president. And by faith, I mean Christian faith. Because
Joe Biden's Catholic, I think.
Or Catholic faith. I mean, it's all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
But it's mostly like Catholic/Christian. That's what they mean by someone of faith.
Yeah.
Because
they do not mean a Muslim.
they don't mean Muslim. They don't mean Buddhist. They don't mean Hindi.
As long as you're a person, as long as you're a person of my faith, then I will elect you.
The correct faith.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the issue with, like, church and state, you know what I mean? Mixing those two things is why these issues of abortion rights, of gay rights, are such polarizing issues.
Yeah.
Because people feel so strongly against it, but it's also someone's human rights. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so tense.
Yeah. I personally think that for the most part, religion shouldn't get mixed in with politics.
I fully agree.
It's
I
like,
don't think it should at all.
I would personally not care what someone's religion is as long as they have the future of the people and the future of the planet heavily in mind. And that kind of guides all of their decisions. Because if they're a good person, then I don't really care what their religion is.
Yeah, my thing is, I don't think someone's religion matters at all unless they let it impact their politics. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in electing someone who is going to let their, like, Christianity guide their political decisions. You know what I mean? Because that means that they are potentially going to take away my rights as a gay person.
Well, it's like,
and my rights as a woman.
I'm going to go off the road for a hot sec,
Sure.
but it is related.
Okay.
So I'm going to get to my point. But all of these high power people, big corporations, business people, they all invest in the stock market, right? Even if you don't know zero things about the stock market, the number one thing that is always said is that diversifying your portfolio is the most important thing. So diversity is the most important thing if you want to make money. Why shouldn't that be the rule for everything? So if you want to make politics, if you want to pass bills, if you want to make laws, shouldn't diversity be the most important thing? And by that, I mean listening to diverse opinions, not just having it be guided by one way of thinking or by one opinion. And that's why I don't think that religion should be mixed into politics, because it's one way of thinking. For example, if Christianity guides your politics, or if being Muslim guides your politics, or this and that, then I don't think that's good, because you need to have someone who's Christian give you their opinions, someone who's Muslim, someone who's Buddhist, someone who's an atheist, like all of these put together and making the best policy out of that. I always think diversity is the most important thing in life, to be honest.
Yeah. I think personally, in terms of politics, I think just like complete separation of church and state makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, not including anyone's religious views whatsoever makes the most sense. And then, like you said, including diverse perspectives in terms of people from different socioeconomic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Like in different like ethnic backgrounds. Like, how are you doing? What are you struggling with? And let's represent that.
100%.
Because
it's like Elizabeth Warren, that was like a big part of her platform, is like getting all these different kinds of people at the table in order to make policies.
Yeah. My biggest problem with religion being mixed in is people then cannot come to a conclusion. You know what I mean? Because when it comes to religion, people are always going to be combative. And then I think that the smartest thing to do is, instead of like legalization, is just decriminalization. You know what I mean? Just don't have a law on it. Like, just don't involve the state in your bedroom. You know what I mean? Don't involve the state in any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. Don't talk about it. Don't criminalize it. You know what I mean? And also don't try and regulate it, which is legalizing it.
I think we need to strip all of that down and just be like, okay, look, you come from this background, this religion, whatever. We are all human beings.
Yeah.
We are all equal, and we each get a say in what happens next.
Caring about other people is a fundamental value of religion, you know? And that's why I think it's just not having enough of an understanding of politics is potentially where these people are coming from, where they don't understand that not involving social issues in politics hurts people, you know? And that's, in my opinion, it's not caring for your neighbor, you know? I think caring for your neighbor is supporting policies that actually take care of your neighbors.
Yeah, and the thing is that sometimes people tend to say like, yeah, like I want to take care of people, but only if they're my people. And by that they mean only if they have the same views, values, only if they have
like
this,
you.
only if they have the same religion as me, or only if they look like me. It's like, no, it's like you take care of everyone, who's around you, everyone you're exposed to, which now with technology, it's literally everyone in the world. You're exposed to everyone in the world, you know, even if it's through a screen.
Yeah.
So you need to see them as fellow human beings who are equal to you and act accordingly. It's not you versus them. It's all of us together.
So thank you guys for coming along this journey of talking about politics with us. I know usually we talk about things
that are super silly.
But one thing you may not know about me is I love politics.
And one thing that you may not know about me is that I don't know as much, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I think that these kinds of things are important to talk about. I think it's important to state your piece, your opinion, and we're always open for discussion. We have an open mind as long as you also have an open mind. And we'll give you all of our respect as long as you give us all of your respect. So if you want to leave some suggestions, some viewpoints,
some spicy thoughts,
or just your opinion, if you want to leave that in the comments, please feel free. We would love to reply. Also make sure to subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like the video. And if you're listening on the podcast, feel free to leave a 5-star review if that calls you. With that being said, you guys, we will see you in the next pod.
Peace.